Hi, it's Chris Titley here. As part of the Scoreboard podcast, I'm joined by Gabi Palm. Gabi, thank you so much for coming into the studio and having a chat.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gabi, 2024 for you. We're sitting here in late November. How's 2024 been for you so far?
It has been a huge year. It's been a big one for us just in terms of our Olympic preparation, all the way up until the Olympics. It's just we've been basically in and out of camp the whole year. I feel like I've had my suitcase perpetually packed from, we've had so many domestic camps, but we've been overseas a lot. And then, we had the Olympics and, after that had a little bit of a holiday. And now I'm just enjoying some time of being back home after being away for so long.
And two-time Olympian. Can you compare the experiences from Tokyo to Paris?
Oh, I think going to Paris obviously was special because of the result and how well we did. But I actually think as well that having Tokyo as a point of comparison probably makes it a little bit more special as well, because the atmosphere and the crowd in Paris and having that aspect of it. And, my family was able to be there. We had all our supporters there, and it probably made that Olympic experience just a little bit more different and special in that way.
Let's hone in a little bit on Paris, the games, and then leading up to the semi-final and the final. Obviously, the semi-final was something that you'll never forget. Can we talk about that particular game at halftime being down and then getting the crew together, and then obviously going into the shootout? Can you talk us through your experience or your memories of that game so far?
It's funny when I try and think back to the game, I don't actually find that I remember a lot of it during the game. I almost think that in some of my games where I feel like I'm really in the moment or whatever, afterwards, I don't actually remember a lot of it, but I can still remember the feeling of being there and, the atmosphere of the crowd and what that game meant. But I think what was so special about the semi-final and almost what we were trying to do through the whole tournament though is that we were really just trying to take it one game at a time, and every moment as it came, we weren't trying to get ahead of ourselves. So I really felt that during that semi-final against the US, there were points that we were down, but it never, overwhelmed us or we ever got ahead of ourselves going, oh, that's it. They're in the lead. We kind of just kept chipping away at it. We found our opportunities. Some girls like Abby and Bronte just stood up in attack and scored those goals for us. But, those came from a lot of team moments and, we were really solid in our defense to be able to keep them 2-8 goals and then to push that into a penalty shootout. I mean, it's so nerve-wracking, but also exciting. And then to get the result in a penalty shootout, what it meant, who we were playing, it was just so exciting.
Being a goalkeeper, watching from where you are in the game and then obviously seeing the other team score and maybe some heads go down, etc. How do you feel being sort of watching it all, and what can you do, I suppose, with your position being so specified and seeing the emotions from the players? I'm interested to know.
So many people, funnily enough, say to me, oh, goalie, pretty lonely position. But I've never found that. I love being a goalie. I mean, I think that from, my position in the goals, it gives me such a great opportunity to see everything from defense. I'm in the perfect seat to be able to see that, control that, call that. Goalkeepers have, we are the last line of defense, but, we can't do our job without the team. And so we play a really important part in talking to the girls, trying to coordinate the defense, making sure it's all in sync, that we're all on the same page. So, that's a really important role through that. And I love that. And so trying to do that all together and, and then I'm in also the perfect seat to watch the girls in attack and do their thing. And, I'm probably not in the action of the attack, but I don't feel like I'm out of it at all. I still feel very much a part of the team and I do my job in a different way.
And at the end of that game, as it was creeping closer to the result that you wanted, which was a tie, during the game in your head, did you think, okay, we're going to go to a shootout here and I'm ready for that?
I don't think I thought about it in the game until, the final whistle blew, we saw the scoreboard and it was like, okay, it's,
It's go time for you.
it's go time, it's a penalty shootout. And I do remember afterwards, Usually like the coach brings us all in and she's having a chat and she asks the shooters who wants to put their hand up to shoot. And she was like, who's ready for it? And I think I was just so in it that I was just like, yep, like me, like I'm just ready to go. I just had this overwhelming feeling of like, yep, let's put me in there, like I'm ready to go. So I remember that. I thought it was really funny. But yeah, I was just ready to get in there. And sometimes I think that with shootouts, sometimes the pressure is on the shooter. You're in a very, controlled situation where it's, 5 meters. When you look at it, the shooters should score. So I really relish in that. I think it's fun. It's an opportunity for me to get in there and maybe cause some chaos and get a save.
I can't remember whether it was the fifth or sixth save that won it for you. Do you remember?
Yeah, no, it was, so we had gone through, so in a penalty shootout, there's 5 shooters from each team. And we had gone through a full round. So the 5 shooters from Australia and US, they all scored. Our captain had gone to take the first shot of the following round, and then it was me, and I saved the first.
Oh, so there's number 6.
It was shot number 6.
Shot number 6. Talk us through it.
And it's funny because with penalty shootouts, I need to do my research, and I do that with a lot of when it comes to games and shooters. Like I like to do my research on the shooters, like to see their tendencies, where they like to go. And with Maddie Musselman, she was the shooter and she was always shooting to my left-hand side. Through all the videos I was seeing, she was always going there. And during that game, she had already shot 2 penalties and she didn't go there. So I was thinking to myself, don't know exactly what she's going to do. So I'm just going to really stay in my line, watch the ball and just, react to it that way. And that's how it kind of unfolded.
And then the euphoria of being in a final, that moment that there was this, amazing dopamine hit, I'd imagine, for you. I mean, what was the feeling?
There's this one photo that it's the photo captured of me in the celebration, like directly after I had saved that. And when I play, I don't really show a lot of emotion. I really like to keep it like calm, cool, collected. It helps me keep focused. But after I saved that, I watched back at the footage and I didn't even realize what I was doing, but I do this big like lasso with my arms because I was just like so excited. And it was just unmatched, like being able to be with the girls as we like celebrated that all together. I don't think we had fully realized what it meant. It was just the excitement of first winning and beating America and what that was. And then it was, oh my goodness, like we're through to the gold medal match in the Olympic Games. Like it was just a whole kind of collection of emotions and feelings.
It's been to just this one moment of like jubilation, relief.
I don't know if we had really felt relief. I think we were just still very much in the moment of celebrating that and what it meant rather than any kind of relief, because we had just been taking it one game at a time and what that meant, and we were just going to keep coming up at that challenge as it came. So I think in that moment directly after, it was just that euphoria and excitement.
So the euphoria of winning that semi-final and beating America, and then knowing that you've got to play Spain for a gold medal, how did that sort of go in your head?
It's funny because that semi-final and the win of it was like one of the best moments of, I've experienced in sport. But I found that like we couldn't unfortunately relish in that too much because we had another game to play. And so we, like all through the tournament, whenever we had the win or whatnot, we had that day to kind of sit in that, celebrate it, acknowledge what we've done. But come the next day, it would always be like, okay, we've got to look forward. We've got another game to go. So it was kind of, put that in a box. All right, let's look forward. We've got to prepare for Spain, look at the footage of what they've done, try and get our heads around, the next competition and the next game.
You say that so calmly, yet when I see some footage of the Olympics of the celebrations on like the parents, the supporters of like you're in the gold medal match to then like to focus. It must have been hard.
Oh, it was so hard. I think it's like a really prevalent conversation about athletes and social media at the Olympics. And I just found that after that moment, because the clip that they would use was my save, and it was all, and after that, like the flooding of emotions of all that. So, when I would open my Instagram, like that was the reel I kept seeing. And every time you watch it, you re-experience that emotion. And even now when I watch that video, I can still, like, it still gives me goosebumps. I still go in that emotion. And obviously the amount of attention and messages that we were receiving after that semi-final win. And so I really had to go off all my social media. I just told my family had to put that to the side and really like look ahead.
This is the gold medal game. This is what you dreamed about, and obviously you dreamed about beating America. But this is the game, right? And then to lose that game in such a pretty close game, like they chipped away ahead, but then like the end of the game is like, now we're over. We've got the silver medal. We're very proud of ourselves, but also we lost the game.
Yeah. I think winning a silver medal in a game is a very bittersweet moment, because even though you get to stand on the podium and you win a medal, it comes after a loss, and it was our first loss of the games as well. And so directly afterwards, I remember thinking that I was just in a whole roller coaster of emotions, because I was in the moment processing the loss of what we had. And it had to be a little bit of time where and even now, the more time I step away from the Olympics, that I realize that the medal reflects the whole tournament and what we have done, but also all the lead up and, all the years that I've poured into water polo is reflective of the medal, not just that game. So it does take, stepping away from that and having that time and perspective to really realize how special a silver medal is. But directly afterwards, you're just like, I've just lost a game.
When was the timing of the water polo in the Olympics? Was it towards the end?
No, we go the whole 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you're right at the end. You got the silver medal right at the end.
Yeah, we were the second last day that we won the medal. So we're one of the only sports that plays across the whole 2 weeks. And with water polo, this Olympics we were playing through and getting a medal, but in Tokyo, when we were out of medal contention, we are one of the only sports that plays through to get a result. Whereas with hockey, like once you lose, you're out. Whereas water polo, you keep playing.
And then also like the individual, you could have it for like Grace Brownmore before. I guess she was the first.
Yes.
And so she had it for 2 weeks. So you didn't actually celebrate your medal with everyone for too long.
No.
Yeah.
No, because by that point, people were kind of like filing out of the village, and yeah, we were right at the end. And I even get questions that, did you go watch other sports? Did you go do this? And it's like, no, water polo goes the whole time.
Yeah. Your love of water polo, when did that first start?
It didn't really start with, I think, love at the start. I got into it because I was moving from like primary school into high school, and the water polo season starts. It goes over summer, so it starts in term 4 and carries over into term 1. So that first year of under 13s, it started when I was in primary school before going into high school, and my high school does water polo. And so it was a really good opportunity to like meet girls before starting school. So I had some friends before starting, but it's a story that I feel like lots of people find quite funny, but I actually really don't like swimming. I wasn't much of a swimmer at school. Freestyle really wasn't my strong suit. It's just not one of the sports that I gravitated towards. And so when someone said water polo, I thought, that's swimming. I don't think so. So I was quite reluctant, but, people just give it a go, like meet new friends. And so I did. And I wasn't too bad at breaststroke when I was there, but nobody really wanted to try goalkeeper. And so they thought, oh, like, Gabi, you're good at breaststroke. Like, why don't you give goalkeeper a go? And so I did. And I had a bit of natural ability there. And I kind of just fell into the role of goalkeeper. And I really enjoyed it. I liked that it was a little bit of a individual sport within a team sport, but I loved the team component. I loved the challenge of it. And yeah, I just fell into it.
What's the I suppose the training regime of a goalkeeper versus the other players? Do you do things together as a team, and that's part of a team? But there's other things that you probably obviously for specialist position like a goalkeeper that you do that others don't.
Yeah, so a lot of our fitness and conditioning is completely different. When it comes to water polo based stuff, so such as shooting, you have to have the goalkeeper and the field players, and whenever we're doing team tactics or anything involving a goal, we're all together. But the fitness component, the field players have to do a lot of swimming naturally, like when they're in the game, and they have to have a lot of focus on their, shoulder strength and stability. So a lot of their conditioning is quite different. Whereas with goalies, I don't need to be really fast at freestyle.
Which is, you wouldn't like that anyway.
No,
right?
exactly. So that's why I'm, in goals. But a lot of our conditioning is to do with, our leg strength and our leg agility and how I can move effectively around the goals and my jumping and that kind of speed dynamic. So it's quite different, our conditioning.
People talk a lot about mental strength and versus physical strength. As a professional athlete and now a silver medalist, how important is it to keep your head right?
Oh, it's really important. And I think it's something that I've always known, but I think especially kind of in the last year, it's something that I've really spent a lot of time prioritizing. You can be physically present in the goals, but if you're not there and you're not mentally present, you're not going to it's just not going to go as well. Like, you have to be able to be there and mentally present to have that focus, that attention. Like, goalkeeping is also a lot about, reading the play and the reaction. And if you're not there and in the moment, it's going to affect your performance. But I think that a lot of the time I've been working on in the moment as well is that, sometimes things aren't going to go your way or you are going to get distracted, but it's that, reset process. Like, how can I come back to being in the moment? Like, when things don't go my way or my mind does wander, which is so natural, it's training myself. Okay, well, what can I do to come back? Like, how can I come back to my breath? How can I come back to what's going on in front of me? And it's that process that I think is the most important.
How do you come back to the moment?
I try and come back to my breath and what I'm doing in the present moment, so I'm connected to that. But it's also about, you're in goals, you're in a game, so I can be in the moment, but then how can I connect to the game? So for me, it's where's the ball? How can I track the ball movement? How can I be involved in the play that's unfolding in front of me and be present in that sense too? So for me, I find that it's two parts.
When you're in a game is pretty competitive and you come out the other side and you haven't won, how's that feeling and what sort of learnings do you take from the losses over time?
I think as a goalkeeper, it's really, and stuff that I have done, it's really easy to look at the scoreboard and see that as your mistakes. It's really hard to look at that and go, oh, well, a goal scored, that's, the mistake of a goalkeeper. And, sometimes people with just not a lot of knowledge of the sport or just look at it and it's really easy to reflect that on the goalkeeper. But I think it's been through a process now of, okay, people might say that, but I know the game and I know what that is, and that doesn't necessarily solely reflect on me. I am a part of a team, and some goals will be my mistake, and that's okay, but it's trying to step away from that, look at the footage and look at what's happened in that and try and learn from it that way and take the learnings from that and with the team and what that means. And sometimes it's not just so black and white in that sense.
Do you beat yourself up when you make a mistake? Is there a trait? Are you a bit of a perfectionist?
Oh, I am definitely a bit of a perfectionist. I think it's a bit of a love-hate relationship with perfectionism. I think it's what's allowed me to be so good at what I do because, I'm so attuned to those nitty-gritty details, and all those 1%ers do add up. So in that sense, I think it's helped me 100%. But, it's also hard because I am really hard on myself. And so it's, learning to be kinder to myself in those situations, and that, if something happens in the game and a goal does go through and maybe it is, my mistake, it's then learning to not get so like embroiled in that in the moment and just learn to go, okay, like that happened. This is how I probably would have done it better. I just need to forget about it and move on and keep going into the game, because if you get so bogged down in that spiral of beating yourself up and what I should have done, again, it takes you out of the moment and probably will make another mistake really more likely, rather than if I can just kind of go, accept that it's happened, moved it to the side, and try and focus and do something with the next shot.
When you balance that perfectionism in your head with enjoyment levels of the sport, do you come off after a game, win, loss or draw, thoroughly enjoying the fight, the competitive, or is there a bit of sort of like, that wasn't I didn't really like that 90 minutes or whatever it was, right?
I think you definitely get your games where it's like that, but I think that I love high performance sport. Like, I love being able to play for my country and play water polo at the highest level. So I think for me, there's still so much enjoyment and satisfaction I get out of that. But again, I still will come away from a game and my head naturally goes to, oh, yep, okay, that goal probably should have done this and whatnot. But I think I'm also starting to learn to go, oh, but that moment was really cool. Like that save, yeah, like I really liked that. And I think it's still having that balance, but afterwards, like combing through the footage, and that's when I can really like look into that analysis and whatnot and what that looks like. And yeah.
Are you a competitive person?
Oh yeah, I am. I think naturally, I think you'd find it, hard not to find an elite sport person who's not competitive. So I definitely am. I love the challenge and the thrill of, what comes with, high performance sport, and I love to win. Like, who doesn't?
Yeah, and where do you reckon that's come from?
I think I've always had a bit of a competitive nature, like even as a kid, like when I was doing sports. I mean, even when I'm playing board games with my sister, I get competitive. Like, I think there's always been that competitive streak in me, and it's been great to have, sport like this where I can really, channel it.
Are you a structured person?
Yeah, I am. I've always loved being organized and structured. Like, you should see my calendar. Like, I love planning things out to a T, and I love I think coming straight out of school where your whole day is so structured, basically into being a elite athlete where your training's structured, you have, where you need to be and all that kind of stuff. So, I really thrive off that structure and being organized, and yeah.
So you love lists?
Love lists. I'm a big list person. My notes is just full of lists, and loving being able to tick them off, and yeah.
On that topic of lists, when it comes to goals, are you a goal setter?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when it comes to your sport and just wanting to achieve stuff and make things, not only just achieving it, but being able to make it achievable and tangible, being able to plan that out like as a goal is so important. So absolutely.
So the goal was what was the goal in the Olympics? Was it a medal, or was it the gold medal, or what was there a plan behind the scenes, or was it like just let's go as far as we possibly can?
I think when it comes to like tournaments and medals and like achievements, you can set goals that are like outcome based, or you can have process based goals. And I think that it's only natural that we have those outcome based goals. Like, I want to be an Olympian, I want to win a medal. But if that is the only thing you have, I think it makes things really tangible, because if you don't achieve that, you have this real sense of lack. And so what we try to do, and what I really try to do, is we had to make it process based. We had to put in and do all the steps that we wanted to do to make that possible. So, we set, what we wanted to do as a team, and, the tactics that we wanted to play, and making sure that we were showing up in the fittest and strongest way that we could be, and things that were totally in our control. and when we were going into the games as well, making sure that we were playing with this, we were playing to win. We weren't in fear of losing. And so when you have all those things kind of in place and you have that process, and when you come and you get a medal from that, like, that's incredible. And I know that I can, fortunately say that because we did win a medal. But, I was talking with one of my coaches and some of my teammates the other day. I do believe that with the process we had, if we still hadn't have come away with a medal, I still would have been so proud of the process and the year that we had put into place and the goals that we had been setting through the year as a team and as individuals. Like, I'm still so proud of that too. So I think that, I don't think winning a medal is the be all end all, but it's still something that I'm incredibly proud of. I think it's a really interesting conversation about all of that.
Yeah. Do you pause and reflect about various things? Like, let's say you get your goal is to make the Olympics, and which is probably one of your childhood dreams, I'd imagine, as you're going through the water bike, and then you get selected in Tokyo. And that moment where you get the phone call or whatever it might be, I don't know what the modern communication to selection is these days, but when you get it, this sort of euphoria of like, yes, I'm here. But then that's part of the job.
Oh, absolutely. I think that especially when I was working towards Tokyo, it's a real different thing because you're trying to go for your first Olympics, like you're trying to be an Olympian. And I remember in the lead up to that, there was a process when we were in camp for 3 months, and I was so nervous. Being in Canberra for 3 months, Canberra's great, but it's also, Canberra. And so I was thinking about spending 3 months down there, and what if I spend all this time down here and I don't make it? Those were the thoughts that were kind of going through my head. But it was also, but what if you do make it? And I knew that I had to pour in and do everything that I could to make that possible, so that when I got that phone call about whether I was selected or not, whether I was or not selected, I could come away from that going okay, I did everything that I could to make that happen. And I know that there are other things that are out of my control, but I could walk away from that going, that was the best that I could do. And there comes to a point where that has to be okay and good enough.
It sounds like you're pretty resilient to things that don't go your way because of the fact that you've tried your best. And that if you give your best at everything, then there's whatever happens kind of happens. You can control your controls. Are you a resilient person?
Yeah, I definitely would say I'm a resilient person. I think that it comes from a lot of years, and just because I can be resilient doesn't mean there are times where I, didn't think that I could do it, or I didn't think that I was good enough. But I think that there was still a stronger feeling of, but I can do it and I can bounce back. And I think that the greatest strength is how you bounce back after those moments where things don't go well or they don't go your way. I think that shows so much more strength and character in a person that when that happens compared to if things always go right.
And now you're a dual Olympian or double Olympian, and you've got a silver medal, and you're obviously very proud of that. How does that sit with you when people talk to you now and maybe stop you in the street and maybe want a selfie, etc.?
And again, I think it's a really, it's something that I'm so proud of. And I'm just I'm so proud of the way that I, showed up and I did that. And I think that, I think of, young Gabi playing water polo and going to all those training sessions. And, she's the one that got me to where I am today as well. So I think that the medal is reflective of my whole journey as well. And that's what I'm kind of really proud of. But I think that, again, the medal is a really interesting conversation, because coming back from Tokyo, people would be like, wow, you went to an Olympics, that's cool. Where's your medal? And I'd be like, oh, we came fifth. And, that was something that I was proud of, but they're like, oh, next time. And so this time, got a medal, got a silver. How cool is that? And the overwhelming response is so positive, and to get a medal is incredible. But, there's still the odd person that goes, better luck next time, get that gold. And, with in the eyes of some person, like, it's never going to be good enough. And so if I'm always looking for what that is, like, I'm never going to be happy. So it's going, it's a silver. I'm so proud of that silver and what it means. And like, that's
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think
good. And
people
I'm
like, I don't know, when I got engaged, the first person that we said, like, when are you going to get married? You're like, hold on a second, I just got engaged, like, celebrate the moment. And then when you get married, they're like, I can have kids. You're like, I just got married. Like, give me a break. Like, the bar gets, like, kind of, the conversation goes higher and higher all the time, and you'll never win. Right?
No, exactly. And I think that even like the day after Paris, people are like, so Gabi, like, LA, like, let's go. And I'm thinking, like, Paris is still, it's only just happened. I'm going to relish in this a little bit. I know it's so natural that people, want to keep going on that sporting journey and what that means, but it's also okay to go, okay, like, I'm just going to sit in this and take a little bit of a breather first, and then I might figure out kind of what that looks like. But yeah, the conversation of what's next.
So the breather that you're taking now, I'm not going to go on to what's next because that's the obvious question, right? I'm not going to do that. But the breather now that post-Paris, how have you found the sort of maybe a little bit of downtime to reflect and to pause and also to keep yourself busy and structured?
Yeah, it's been a time. I think that I'm having been away almost the whole year. It's been really nice to just be in the one place, not have my suitcase packed, not having to be anywhere. And I think I've really been enjoying that. Again, I have been a little bit out of routine, and I almost think that that's, thrown me a little bit from what I'm used to. But I think it's been really important for me to be able to take a step back from what I have been doing and have a break from that, because, it's been 8 years since I've been in the national team, and this has been the longest break I've had during that time. So I think to have that pause and step away from it after doing things for so long, it gives you that space to have a breather and, come back with even more of an appreciation of what it is when you step away.
And for water polo for you, has the relationship changed over the course of when young Gabi versus now Gabi in terms of the I suppose the emotion towards the game?
I think that, and like when I speak to kids about when they want to pick up sport, I think so many of us fall into sport or watch sport because we love it and we love what it brings and we enjoy the game and all those kinds of things. And I think sometimes it's really easy that when you get caught in, like when you move into high performance and things are so results focused, that you do lose a little bit of that enjoyment and fun, because sometimes it does become your job and you need to get results and all those kinds of things. And I've definitely had my period where I've felt like that. But I think I've always I come back to my why, and, why I play water polo is because, like, I love the challenge. I love the game. And I mean, that's what little Gabi did when she started playing. So I've really tried to, as much as all that results part of it is so natural with sport, I mean, but I always keep trying to connect to, why I started and why I enjoy it. And that, I feel like, keeps me going too.
And you felt like you've done a good job of staying that connected, like you haven't drifted, your brain hasn't drifted away going, well, what's next for me? Or this is not, I don't like this anymore.
I think that it's always natural for your brain to drift. And I think that, I'm also a really ambitious person. I do sometimes think like, what's next for myself. I think that like the last 8 years have been so water polo dominated for me, and that's been such an adventure and I've loved it. But I also know that like water polo isn't going to be something that I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I almost think that if I bring other things from my life into it and have that bit of balance with water polo, things aren't always just 100% water polo. You need balance in life. So I think that, that part of my brain's thinking, okay, well, maybe it's time for me to look about some other things that I can do like outside of water polo. And like, if, when I keep going, how can I marry that with water polo and keep things going? But it's about having that, I think for me now, something outside of water polo as well, because the day when I do retire, like if I don't have anything else for myself, that's going to be a really difficult time for me. And I'm thinking forward to like what that might look like for me.
And can you share what you're thinking about at the moment?
I'm still very much in a bit of a brainstorming phase. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what
You've
that
got
looks
the
like.
spreadsheet?
Yeah, not quite. But I've again had a few lists of brainstorming what that looks like, and I think coming straight out of school, I wasn't one of those people who knew exactly what I wanted to do. There was a while where I really thought that maybe I'll go into physio, all that kind of stuff, and then someone told me that I had terrible thumbs for physio, so that's not physio for gutties.
That's the pros and cons. Con?
Yeah, that's definite con. So I did a Bachelor of Psychology at uni because I always found that really fascinating. But again, that's one of those maybe broader degrees. So at the moment, I'm just trying to, look at my skill set and experience that I've gained from sport and what I'm interested in, and trying to see, what path forward I can take and what that looks like. And it's at the moment a real period of learning and having conversations with people and just being open to new experiences and opportunities. So it's a bit of a new chapter as well.
It's a tough question to ask. So people ask, oh, what do you really want to do? What do you, ultimate job, no money, sort of you win the lotto, right? You win the lotto, what would you do, sort of thing. It's a really tough question to ask. Is there some secret hobbies or side hustles or projects that you're I'm interested in this, or might pursue it a little more?
There's definitely, hobbies and stuff that I'm interested in outside of water polo. I'm not sure if that means a career or such, but I just think it's a matter of, trial and error at the moment. There's still things that at the moment I'm still loving, with the part of the Australian Olympic Committee, they have the Olympics Unleashed program. So at the moment I'm loving going out to schools and talking to kids about my journey and trying to inspire them for what that means for them maybe one day. But, there's still all those kind of aspects to it, but I'm just still figuring out what that looks like for me.
Well, I'm going to go into some personality traits I might figure out for you. There's a feature on, I'm going to start with a couple of words, and you can say whether you are that person or not. I'm going to start with superstitious.
I definitely used to be when I was younger. There were songs that I had to listen to before playing, but no, I don't think I'm not superstitious anymore.
Creative?
Yes, I am creative. I think I get confused with this one sometimes because maybe it's not creative in a drawing sense or whatever, but I think I'm still creative with my ideas and my thinking.
Funny?
Yeah. I think so.
Confident?
Yeah, I'm confident. I mean, I think confidence is an interesting one that you can waver on. So as much as I think I am confident, I definitely have my moments where I'm not as confident.
Are you a pump-up person before a game or a calm person?
Oh, no, I'm a calm person. I find that I naturally get a bit nervous sometimes, so I think that I really like to keep calm and mellow before the games, and I think that carries through to me before the game, because if I'm pumped up and revved up before a game, I crash. So I really like to try.
What do you do to mellow yourself before a game?
I really girls. Some girls will play music over the speaker, so I'll just kind of listen to that, kind of do my own thing. But I really just try and I don't like to go in my headphones because I get too much in my head. So I just like to be able to talk to people, just be in touch with my surroundings, be in that kind of moment. And
so calm background music. You kind of don't know who's playing, but you'd want something in the background to kind of...
Yeah. I like having that connection piece. I like being able to talk to the girls next to me or the ones that like to do that, and it kind of just helps me stay, I think, a little bit grounded and in that moment of what's happening right now.
And have the nerves ever taken over and control? Is oh, this is I can't get out of this.
Yeah, I think before, I think, sometimes, and even through that, there'll be times where I get, really nervous, but it's trying not to kind of get carried away with that and go, acknowledge that, all those thoughts are there, but okay, how can I come back to what's happening right now? How can I be present in this moment? It's so natural to have those nerves. And I think some people think that, just because you're calm and in the moment doesn't mean you think about those things. Like, they're definitely there. It's just how can you, not necessarily totally tune into that, and how can you kind of like turn your focus elsewhere.
One of the traits that I've gathered through various sports people on this podcast has been the word empathetic. Do you think you're an empathetic person?
Yeah, I do think I'm an empathetic person. I'm really fortunate to be a part of the, leadership group in the Stingers team. And I think that, like, a part of that and just being in the team, I think being empathetic is so important. I think being a part of like a team sport, I mean, you have to have that. It's not just you out there. Like, you're working with lots of other, you're working with 12 other girls, and a lot of that carries to things going on outside the pool. And so how do you, talk with them? How do you work through stuff? Like, how do you, work through situations in the pool where maybe someone's seen that in a different way, and how do you, talk with them and move through that and kind of get come to a solution altogether, and, acknowledging that people are going to have different views and different opinions, and how you kind of bring that all together.
Yeah. And so on that, a leader, do you feel like you're a leader?
Yeah, I do. I think that, a part of our leadership group, there's 3 of us. And I think, what I'm learning is that, people can lead in completely different ways. Like, our captain is, she's a quiet leader, but she leads through her actions, and she does that so well. So you don't always have to be the loudest, most outspoken person in the room to be a leader. And so you can lead through your actions and what you do. And that's what I've learned. And I think it's a really powerful thing.
A book versus a podcast versus Netflix?
Oh, I kind of like dabble in all of them. I think that when I'm in the car, I love listening to a podcast. I also love my reading. I like to try, read a book before bed or whatnot. But I really find that it has to be a book that I'm like absorbed in for me to love it. I'm either like a bookworm or I don't touch a book. So, and then I love, especially with like the weather at the moment when it's raining. Like,
yes, you might have noticed this podcast has been pouring the whole time. So if the quality of the audio is not so great, I can't control that.
No, but it's the perfect weather to like sit on the couch and like, if there's a good, new Netflix TV show.
Are you trashy, or are you like a deep Netflix person? Like, do you go off the Housewives, or you go to the other way of like a serious drama?
I go the serious drama route.
Like a murder mystery sort of thing?
Well, I love it, especially in books too. Like, I love a murder mystery. I love all of that. Nothing like too scary. I've never been much of a horror person. I I'm a really easy jump scare. So
do you get a bit anxious after it?
Yeah.
And this might affect your sleep and things?
I can't watch horror movies. I can't remember what it was, but there was some trailer for a horror movie I watched in school, and just watching the trailer, like, it stopped me from sleeping. So I stick away from the horror movies.
Coffee or tea, or neither?
Oh, coffee.
Yeah?
I'm a big coffee drinker.
Yeah.
I love my coffee.
Like a flat white, or?
Yeah, I love a latte.
Same thing, isn't it? Really?
It's a little bit
more
different.
frothy.
Yeah.
Latte. And how many a day?
I definitely love to have one every day. But I don't go overboard with that. Like,
yeah, otherwise you get a little.
I do.
Little shaky.
I get a bit shaky.
Yeah. It's common, right?
So,
maybe on your third as well, you kind of, you're bouncing off walls and your voice starts to go a little quicker.
So, no, I love to have 1 or 2 a day.
Gabi, I'm going to leave it there, but thank you so much for coming on the Scoreboard podcast and taking your time in this pouring rain in here in Brisbane. I really do appreciate, and congratulations on your achievements as a sports person and as a person, and obviously moving forward into the next chapter of your life. I wish you well.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.